A hookup or a hustle?
She said he was a friend and she had bought stuff from him before and everything came out fine.
It was a family and friend discount. He said that he could get 100 phones.
Really? You think Best Buy is going to sell 100 phones to an employee at an employee discount?
And later, friends face off in court.
He said that someone smashed into my car in front of his house, and then 2 weeks later I found out that he was driving it.
Personally, I think that if you're going to hand your keys to somebody and you know that you don't have the insurance for it, then she should know that an accident can happen.
Well, you know what they say, never drop the con, die with the lie.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Rudy Davila says her former coworker offered to hook her up with discounted iPhones, but after taking her money, failed to deliver. She's suing for money owed for the cell phones and interest on the loan. She's accompanied in court today by Denise Gonzalez. Defendant Costanza Hagen says she doesn't owe any money because she tried to get the phones from her hookup, but they were all caught in the same scam.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Davila versus Higgins.
Thank you, Juan. Rudy Davila?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, is it Costanza Higgins?
Correct.
For $2,300 you say she owes you for cell phones and loan interest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why don't we start from the beginning and you explain to me what's going on here.
Okay. I first knew Costanza from work. She's my supervisor. On September 10, 2014, I got a text message from her saying that I have a really good deal on iPhone 6s and iPhone 6 Pluses. Let me know if you guys want some and how many you guys want, and I need the money by the end of today.
What do you mean by really good deal?
They were like cheap before they even came out.
All right, and did you ask her where she was getting these phones from?
Yeah, she said a friend that he works at Best Buy, and she had bought stuff from him before, and everything's, legit, and I've done it before, and everything came out fine.
So he works at Best Buy, and she tells you what, he gets a discount on iPhones?
Yes.
So you give her how much money?
That day, I only gave her $640.
And then you gave her more later?
I gave her that a couple days later, I gave her more.
Why did you give her more?
I bought 2 for myself, and I involved my 2 sisters who bought some too.
Okay, and so you give her this money, $1,700 for the phones, and when is she supposed to give you the phones?
I was supposed to get them the Thursday before they dropped.
The Thursday before they dropped, but you never got the phones?
I never got them.
Like to this day, you don't have the phones,
No.
and that's why we're here. Okay,
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what's going on?
Okay. I sent a text message out to 4 people, and Rudy being the 5th person, regarding a deal on iPhones. The person who was getting the iPhones, he himself did not work at Best Buy. It was his cousin. It was a family and friend discount, and we have purchased things from them before.
How many phones were you getting on a family and friend discount?
Well, he said that he could get 100 phones. They were gonna provide receipts and everything with the stuff. So,
Really?
So,
Really?
Rudy told other people about the
100 phones. You think Best Buy is going to sell 100 phones to an employee at an employee discount?
I'm sure they
100 iPhones?
I'm sure there was a couple of people in the store that was gonna, ring it up. But
How much money did you give this person?
Yeah, I gave him $2,800.
You collected $15,000 in cash from your coworkers. Why don't we start there?
I did not collect $15,000 from the coworkers.
That's what you said in your answer? You said you collected about $15,000 in cash.
That wasn't from these people. That was not here.
Total, $15,000 in cash from her and other people, right?
Yes.
Okay, $15,000 in cash.
Correct.
Let me make sure I get this straight. So you give someone $15,000 in cash. By the way, why cash? Just curious.
I didn't specify cash. That's just what they brought.
No, you gave $15,000 in cash.
Oh.
I'm asking you, why are you giving someone $15,000 in cash?
Well, the person that was involved.
Did you get a receipt?
His son and my son were best friends.
Did you get a receipt?
No.
How many phones does $15,000 in cash buy you?
I don't know
From the
offhand right
cousin?
now.
You don't know offhand? You give somebody $15,000 in cash and you don't know what you're buying?
I don't have the list with me here to know how many phones.
Any particular reason why you choose to give somebody cash?
Well, I trusted him because I knew him. Our sons were best friends. They go to school together.
Then you say you never got the iPhone. So you're out of $15,000 in cash, right?
Correct.
Show me the police report where you called the police to report someone stole $15,000 from you.
I didn't call.
Show me a police report.
I didn't call the police, but a couple
There you
other
go.
people did call the police.
There you go. That sums up everything I need to know about this case. No one loses $15,000 in cash and it's just in the wind. Oh well, unless you're part of the scam or this person doesn't exist. Which
No,
one is it?
I wasn't part of the scam.
Oh, absolutely you are.
We got scammed as well. I just didn't want to put my son
You're not
in
a
jeopardy.
victim. You're not a victim. You can give up the victim game right now.
I'm not trying to be a victim, ma'am. I have paid people their money back because I was trying to do the right thing and give the money back.
That's convenient for you to say because no one's here to contest that. All I have in front of me is a person who said they gave somebody $15,000 in cash. They never got anything, and you never made a police report. You never called the police. You never reported it. You don't even have a civil claim against them. You understand? Mm-hmm. Okay, the game is up.
Coming up, how deep was the deception?
I told her I was going to give his money back.
I don't care what you told her you were going to do. Why didn't you do it?
Because I had to make payments to multiple people.
How do I even know that there is someone who works at Best Buy who is going to give you phones?
And later, a best friend betrayed.
He borrowed my car, and within a couple of hours, I got a phone call, and he told me that my car got hit.
And why are you so upset about this?
Because he lied to me.
Plaintiff Rudy Davila says her former coworker scammed her. She's suing for money owed for the cell phones and interest on a loan. Defendant Costanza Hagen says she doesn't owe because the deal was a scam and everyone lost money.
Why didn't you give the plaintiff her money back if you were giving people money back?
I told her I was going to give his money back.
I don't care what you told her you were going to do. Why didn't you do it?
Because I had to make payments to multiple people. And I told her when I get to her, because she gave money last, that I would give her the money back. Now, other people at the same place have gotten their money back, but she chose to sue me instead.
How do I even know that there is someone who works at Best Buy who is going to give you phones? First of all, they're stealing from their employer. Okay, there are no employee discounts that allow someone, or employee appreciation day, or whatever you want to call it, that allows someone to purchase 100 iPhones at a discount. They don't even do that. You should know that. Second of all, the real issue here is I don't even know if this story is legitimate or if that person exists. All I know is you got their money and they never got any phones. And now let me address you. You're the sister?
Yes.
Why don't you stand up too? Because this is what happens when you think you're going to get involved in a street hookup. You want to be a part of the game? These are the rules of the game. Sometimes you win, and when you win, you come out on top. Sometimes you lose, and you know what happens? You charge it to the game. Someone tells you, I got a hookup by some guy. You don't know his name. That's red flag number one. She wants all cash. You go around collecting all cash. That's red flag number two. There's a middleman. You have no communication with this person. You're giving her money. She's giving it to someone else, so she says, and then they're giving it to another person. That's red flag number three.
I guess it was just all on trusting her. I worked with her for so long. I've lent her money before. She's paid me back. It was more than just, I guess, it being a supervisor, you know?
And I just can't believe that you had the audacity to come into this courtroom today. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a former prosecutor. You know this is what I did, prosecuted fraud cases. And you thought that you were going to come into court today and tell me that someone took $15,000 from you and you did absolutely nothing about it. You're not a victim. Whatever's going on, you're a part of it. But I don't think that the two of you knew. Because I mean, I could get iPhones from my sisters, my mom, whoever. If they have iPhones they aren't using, I could get them and sell them to my friends. There's not anything wrong with that. I think you were naive, but I don't think you knew that you were getting involved in some type of criminal enterprise, which is what's going on this side of the room. You better be careful. There's no paper trail, but eventually this catches up with you, because if that guy, whoever he is, got picked up, now that I know you're involved in this, people start talking when they're in jail. Once they get locked up, all bets are off. They start making deals. And when people give you their money, she brought you to court. Other people may not want to bring you to court. They may want to have a one-on-one conversation with you and take it to the streets. So you better be careful. I'm not ordering her to pay you $600 in interest, $1,700, judgment for the plaintiff.
What I've learned about the case today is never purchase iPhones off of a good deal.
I don't scam people. I wouldn't take the money from no one and not give it back to them.
Plaintiff Sabrina Crespo says her former friend borrowed her car, crashed it, and then lied about the accident. She's suing for reimbursements for car repairs. Defendant Caleb Schwab says he doesn't owe any money because Sabrina attacked his character, causing him to quit his job. He's countersuing for lost wages and harassment.
Sabrina Crespo?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant Caleb Schwab?
Yes.
For $3,000 for reimbursement for car repairs. You say he had an accident in your car and caused damages?
Yep.
And you're countersuing, sir, for $1,006 for lost wages and harassment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll start with you, Ms. Crespo. Tell me how you know Mr. Schwab.
I worked at the mall. He was there with a friend, and I actually met him outside on a smoke break, and we were talking, and we became friends that way. I was seeing a friend of his, and we got close.
Okay, why don't you tell me what happened?
I let him borrow my car for the day. I was at work.
What day was this?
I believe it was May 28th around. He borrowed my car, and within a couple of hours, I got a phone call, and he...
A call from who?
From Caleb. Mm-hmm. He called me crying. He sounded like something bad happened, and he told me that my car got hit. He said that someone smashed into my car in front of his house, and that he woke up to a big bang. Mm-hmm. And then 2 weeks later, I found out that he was driving it and crashed it.
Hold on a second. So, and why are you so upset about this?
Because he lied to me.
What did you tell her happened?
At first, I told her that somebody hit the car in front of my house. I was extremely embarrassed at the time. I didn't. It was
so
like
you
the
call,
first thing that
So
came
you
to
have
mind.
an accident in the car.
Yes.
But you call her and tell her that the car was parked in front of your house. Had you borrowed her car before?
No.
This is the first time you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you tell her that the car was parked in front of your house, and what?
That a car just hit it.
And a car hit it. So you went out and saw that there were damages.
Yes.
And did he ever tell you the truth about what happened,
No.
or how did you find out?
2 weeks later, I got a call from Progressive, and they called me and said that they were asking a bunch of questions about him, and I asked what it was regarding, and she said that he was in an accident, and they were trying to figure out whether or not that he needs to be added to my policy. So I called him after I got off the phone, and I was really upset, and I was like, you need to tell me what happened right now.
And did he tell you the truth then?
No, he tried to play it off. He tried to say, what are you talking about? Like I told you, and I was like, Caleb?
Well, you know what they say, never drop the con, die with the lie. Did you finally tell her the truth?
Yes, I eventually told her the truth.
Because, I mean, at that point, you had no choice.
Yeah, I squeezed it out of him.
Let me see the photos of the car. So what happened? What really happened?
I was going into a turn lane. I was going to pick up my brother's stuff from his apartment. And when I was going into the turn lane, the woman in front of me slammed on her brakes, and I ran into the back of her car.
Okay, and those are the damages. What kind of car is it?
It's a Scion TC 2007.
So why don't you think you're responsible for the damages? Because you had insurance, but it was a liability insurance,
Yes.
right? So the insurance didn't cover damages to your
No.
car. So why don't you think you're responsible for the damages that she had to pay out of pocket?
Because personally, I think that if you're going to hand your keys to somebody and you know that you don't have the insurance for it.
I'm sorry?
I said if you're going to hand somebody the keys for the car and you know that you don't have insurance to cover them, then you should know that something can happen, an accident can happen.
That's your defense? That's all you got?
Coming up on Judge Faith, are the social media posts proof?
The moment that you find out your best friend stole from you after he crashed your car, lied to your face, according to what she put in this post, you had an accident in her car. That happened, right? You lied to her about the accident, right? The Facebook post seems actually pretty accurate.
Plaintiff Sabrina Crespo says her former friend previously agreed to pay for the car damage. She's suing for reimbursements of car repairs. Defendant Caleb Schwab says he doesn't owe any money because Sabrina interfered with his source of income. He's countersuing for lost wages and harassment.
So you think that it's her fault because she let you borrow her car? She did you a favor. She gave you the keys and let you borrow her car, but it's her fault because she should not have done that.
It's her responsibility, it's her car.
But 3 years of friendship, thinking that he's my brother, and he had something important to do, giving him my keys, I cared. Let him take my car for the day.
After the whole car incident happened, I actually had to leave my job for a few
That's a
things
lie.
that
He's
she
lying.
posted.
He is lying.
I had to leave my job because she posted a post on Facebook and it was just completely demeaning
Months
me.
later.
What do you mean?
I have a picture right here I can show you.
So you're saying, so it's not only she was irresponsible for giving you the keys and letting you drive, but she posted something on Facebook about you, and that's
Yes.
Also part of your defense? Let me see the Facebook post. How long after the accident did she post on Facebook?
Like a month later.
A month later. And why is she posting on Facebook? Because she's asking you to pay for the damages to her car?
I actually already started paying her at the time.
How much did you pay?
So far, $350 until all of this started.
So what did you tell him in terms of how much you needed him to pay? Did you show him an estimate?
My car is an expensive car to fix. I went to 2 different mechanics. One told me $3,500, the other told me $4 grand.
So you started paying, you only paid $350 and you stopped, why?
Because of all this, I received a letter in the mail saying I was being sued and all of that. And
He also paid $350 within 2 months. I gave him time. And meanwhile, I haven't paid my rent. My electricity is $2 grand. I live with my mother. I pay bills. I have credit cards that I'm late on. And he does not even have to worry about buying toilet paper, okay? He lives with his mother. I paid his phone bill before because he didn't have money. I was always there for him all the time.
You say you had to leave your job because of...
2 of them.
Because why?
Well, for one, it was just after that post happened, when I just felt like a complete negative energy walking in there. People were like giving me dirty looks. It's like...
I actually have a letter from my boss stating that there was no hostility.
Okay, so according to the police report, the accident takes place on March 19th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is June.
Yes.
She posts this on Facebook. The moment that you find out your best friend stole from you after he crashed your car, lied to your face, and still asked you to pay his phone bill last week, did you do that?
I did not ask to pay the phone bill last week.
She starts laughing. You scumbag Schwab. Karma is a B and you're a bad person. You F everyone over in your path, and I've always been there to back up your lies and cheats. Now, did you post this on your Facebook wall where everyone can see it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what happened after that?
Just literally right after that, everybody was just giving me negative everything. Like I'm the scum of the earth right now, pretty much.
Because you deserve it.
And it's not.
And according to what she put in this post, you had an accident in her car. That happened, right? You lied to her about the accident, right? The Facebook post seems actually pretty accurate.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Did you pay for the damages already?
Yes.
You paid out of pocket?
I had to get a loan from a bank for $1,600. A very close friend of mine lent me $900, and from there on, I actually have text messages that I sent in showing that the mechanic let me pay him in increments, $250, $250 the next week.
And what have you been using for transportation?
My car now, I got it fixed eventually, but during the time, my mother was driving me.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm dismissing your counterclaim for harassment and lost wages, sir. You brought this all upon yourself because you have not made a credible effort to try to pay her back for the damages you caused her car in this accident. My judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. I'm ordering you to pay her $2,200. Good luck.
I honestly feel really upset because we're never gonna be friends again after this. And I hate that he can't take responsibility for what he did to me.
I'd like to say to Sabrina, I hope you have a good life, and I hope that we don't have to cross paths again because I know it can't be repaired after this.
one man's treasure becomes another man's trash.
He says, I threw your frame away. I said, you what? He said, I threw your frame away.
This man tried to pick up on my assistant who pushed away, okay, his advances. I have a good hunch that this has been happening all of his life, and it's now all come to a culmination right here now.
Your Honor, I'm a frustrated romantic. I just can't make it work.
So, Mr. Furness, was this really about the photo frame or is this about Debbie?
And later, she borrowed her big sister's ride, but returned it with a busted bumper.
She stays with our parents here on the Steele, pays no rent, spoiled brat. I mean, you really gotta go like really close and look at the bumper in the front.
So she should be okay with duct tape being on her Land Rover. You just gave me this whole speech about you loving luxury cars, and then you want her to have bootleg duct tape on her Land Rover.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Russ Furness says he asked the defendant to remove artwork from an antique frame and was shocked when he found out the frame had been thrown in the trash. He's suing for the cost to replace the frame. Defendant Frank Suman says he found the picture frame in his shop and tried to return it, but the plaintiff is a demanding customer who can't be satisfied. He's accompanied by Debbie McAuliffe.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Furness versus Suman.
Thank you, Juan. Russ Furness?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing the defendant, Frank Suman?
Yes.
For $1,730, the replacement cost of a photo frame?
That is correct.
Okay, why don't we start from the very beginning, sir, and you tell me how you know Mr. Suman.
I like art, and I have some pieces. I had some things put on canvas, and they have a stretcher bar in the back, and the canvas is stretched on that and put back in the frame. And I think I had Frank do 2 or 3.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I own Frame Pros, which is a custom framing business here in Glendale for the last 30 years.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
you've had a working relationship with the
Well, he
plaintiff?
came in as a customer, and I took care of his needs. And
When was the first time he came in as a customer?
it was March of last year.
Okay, and was he a repeat customer?
Well, he kept coming in with the same picture, wanting to have it redone. So, you know, artists are a little, but whatever. I'm but a mere servant here, you know, the serve. So.
Okay, and you're an artist?
Yes, I do a variety of things. I'm a writer, a photographer, and a guitarist.
Okay.
So the picture in question was a Battle of Trafalgar. I found it in an old book in a bookstore, had it hand-colored and blown up.
Oh, you submitted a photo for me
Yeah.
to see? Okay, let me take a look at that.
I feel like the boat in the middle.
Why do you say that?
I'm being attacked from 2 sides.
Okay.
So I had it hand-colored and blown up. This has got to be 15, 20 years ago. And it was starting to fade. And I like to archive things. So I took it to Frank. I says, Frank, take this out of the frame. I need the frame. I want to have it scanned to disk so I can save it. It's starting to fade. It's not going to last all that much longer.
And why would you need him to take it out of the frame?
There's glass. It's sealed on the back. And
So you need a professional
yes,
to do that?
Yes, yes. So I leave the frame. I say, I want the frame back. Keep the glass. I can say, Frank, I can't replace this frame. He asked me why I wanted it back. I says, I can't replace it.
I didn't ask you why you wanted it back.
You did. You
I'm
did.
a servant here to serve
No,
you.
well, you're so uppity for a servant, it's not funny. So I go back, I had another work there that I wanted to get back, and I wanted to get the frame back. So I go back a week later. It's not ready.
You're supposed to reframe
No, I'm supposed to remove the picture from the frame. So he came this one time, and I said to Russ, I said, here are your pictures, you know, that he wanted. And he goes, what about the frame? And I said, well, I think the frame got broken because my worker that had done it or whatever had mentioned that one of the frames got broken.
Okay, what do you say happened?
He says, I threw your frame away. I said, you what? He said, I threw your frame away. I said, what do you mean you threw out the frame? That wasn't your decision to make. I asked you to keep it.
Did you tell him you threw the frame out?
I told him that we had thrown the frame out, and I really didn't have the full info with me because he brought multiple pieces, and one of the two of the frames were thrown out, and the other frame, this one here.
Why would you throw out a frame?
Because he didn't want them. I asked him if he wanted them.
That's not the frame.
That is the frame.
No, it's not.
Coming up, a little courtroom comedy.
Do you want to go over there and inspect it closer?
Okay. Don't shoot.
And later, the bonds of sisterhood are about to break over a bumper.
The next day, she comes back from driving my truck, Your Honor, and it's pretty much ruined. The bumper is nearly falling off, cracked. I mean, just horrible.
Plaintiff Russ Furness says the defendant threw away his antique picture frame. He's suing for the cost to replace it. Defendant Frank Suman says he found the frame and will give it back.
Frank, that's wrong. That is not my frame.
That is your frame.
Do you want to go over there and inspect it closer?
Yeah.
Yeah, may I?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Don't shoot. No way. My frame had like metal hinges in the corners. It looked like something out of the British Admiralty. Oh. It looked like something off an old Spanish galleon.
It looked like it was worth $1,500.
What's that?
It looked like it was worth $1,500, what you're suing for?
Yeah, that is the molding. This is not the molding. This is incorrect.
Delirious. Where did you get that mold? May I see that molding?
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought Beavis. I hope she's taking her medication.
And you know, and I resent you, okay? And I resent you calling my assistant Beavis.
Mr. Furness, be nice.
And Your Honor, this is not the frame. This is nothing.
Mr. Furness,
Your Honor, I
be nice,
resent
sir.
him making these comments.
Take a number.
In regards to her, okay? And this is really what the crux of the story is.
What do you mean?
Is this man tried to pick up on my assistant who pushed away okay, his advances. All right? And I have a good hunch that this has been happening all of his life. And it's now all come to a culmination right here now. And this is what it's all about.
Your Honor, I'm a frustrated romantic. I just can't make it work.
Hi, your name is?
Hi, I'm Debbie McCullough.
And you work for Mr. Suman?
I do.
What's your position there?
I'm a design consultant.
Okay. Why don't you tell me what you know about this case? Or give me some insight as to what's going on here.
Okay. I met Russ, it was about a year ago, and he came into the store and he put his artwork on the counter. And he proceeded to ask me, do you ever go to Cambria? And I thought that was a funny question. I said, yes. And he said, you know, there's this great hotel there. And he started to talk to me about this great hotel that he frequents in Cambria. And I thought, okay. So he said, you should check it out. And I said, well, okay. And he said, yeah, maybe we can go there sometime.
No, I didn't say that.
You did say that.
No, and
you did say
it
that.
was
So,
Albion.
Mr. Furness.
It was an Albion, Your Honor.
You don't even start with dinner. You just go right
I go right to the chase.
go right to the hotel. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So, you know, that made me feel a little uncomfortable and at the time. And then he kept coming in. He kept coming into the store. And he had this painting that he kept having little things removed from it, like a tree or a boat or
There was
something.
2 paintings, Debbie.
And so he kept, no, there was at least 3 or 4 things, Russ. And so he kept coming back, and and every time he came back, there was like this sexual innuendo he would make towards me.
Thank you.
And
Well, I don't think he's denying that.
he's not denying it, is he? No.
But what's the, so you think that because you turned him away that this is somehow in retaliation?
Yes, I do.
So, Mr. Furness, was this really about the photo frame, or is this about Debbie?
My question, how many times, Frank, did I ask you if Debbie was on medication or should be on medication? She would come in, I'm in line, I'm doing another retake on my picture.
Why are you taking shots at Debbie? What has she done to you?
Well, she pissed me off. Sorry about that. Leave it out.
Why? Because she won't go to
Because I
Cambria?
rejected you?
You didn't reject me. You don't have the capability.
Mr. Furness.
Your Honor.
Mr. Furness.
Your Honor, he started out with these letters that he started sending, about in a very threatening way. I resent that. I worked very hard to create my business, and my business was built on principles where I treat people the way I would want to be treated. No, and you are lying here, sir, and you're disgusting, sir.
I want you to be professional.
And I resent you with your innuendos with my help.
Gentlemen, let's keep it civil here today. Let me see the letter.
And did you notice where he called her Beavis and a Ross Dress for Less model? I mean, come on, Your Honor.
I'm wearing the outfit for you, Ross.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. That's at the very bottom there, Your Honor.
I see it. You know what? I'm not laughing at this letter. I was just thinking about something somebody told me last week.
Can we go back? Two things. He said he threw the frame out. He didn't. I asked him to keep it. He didn't.
Mr. Furness?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just trying to decide if you're a little eccentric or inappropriate.
Both.
But either way,
He's a journalist.
I'm ready to rule. Do you want this frame?
It's not mine.
I understand that, but do you want that?
No,
okay, so then I'm going to order the defendant to pay you $350 to resolve this matter, sir. $350. Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right.
Plaintiff Ingram Landreth Rocket says her self-centered sister hit a fence, damaging the bumper of her Land Rover, and now is refusing to pay for the repairs. She's suing for damages and car rental fees. Defendant Amelia Landreth says she owes nothing because she paid for her older sister to go on an expensive trip to Jamaica, so they're even.
Ingram Landreth Rocket?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant Amelia Landreth?
Yes.
For $1,655 for damages to your car and car rental fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and I understand the defendant is your sister?
Yes, she is.
All right, so why don't we start from the beginning and you tell me what brought the two of you to court today?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, I would like to say that I've followed your career, and I think your career is thoroughly impressive, and you're an inspiration to women in general.
Thank you so much. Now, what are you going to say? I'm just kidding. I'm joking. All right, I appreciate that. Tell me about your case.
Amelia, for the most, is very materialistic and spoiled, and has this entitled attitude, and I don't know where it comes from. She has 2 luxury cars, Your Honor.
Yes, you're right.
Paid off. BMW and a Lexus. Who has that?
And I love my sports car.
She stays with our parents, Your Honor, still. No rent, pays no rent, spoiled brat. I have a Land Rover. Amelia asks, can I drive your truck? I'm like, yeah, you can drive the truck, Amelia. The next day, she comes back from driving my truck, Your Honor, and it's pretty much ruined.
Coming up on Judge Faith, it's time for one of these sisters to pony up and pay.
I thought I had enough room, but I didn't. To be honest.
Did the car hit the gate? Did the bumper hit the gate?
Yeah, the bumper in the front head did hit the gate, like reversed back. The car reversed back mistakenly.
Plaintiff Ingram Landreth Rocket says her sister borrowed her Land Rover and hit a fence. She's suing for damages and car rental fees. Defendant Amelia Landreth says she scotch-taped the bumper, and 2 years later, it still looks fine.
I can't believe she brought my truck back like this.
Tell you the truth, I had like...
Yeah, I'd like to hear the truth.
Yeah, and I have pictures too.
Tell me what happened.
Your Honor, I drove the car inside of the driveway. I accidentally kind of reversed it back. coming in. I mean, I'll be honest, I was kind of in the zone. I had fun that day. I was with my friends. We went boating. We went dining.
Zone?
Well, I was, a fun zone, or at least after having fun, I was just like, just in a little. I wasn't drunk or nothing like that.
So you were in the fun zone,
I was like, I was just in the zone, And after that,
this girl is so self-centered.
And I was gonna say, after that evening, or within that evening, I pretty much I drove the car within the driveway. Pretty much, I thought I had enough room.
Did the bumper hit the gate?
Yeah, the bumper in the front end did hit the gate, like reversed back. The car reversed back mistakenly.
Because you were in the zone.
Because I was like,
oh wow.
I mean, it was getting dark.
Yeah,
it was getting dark.
So, and you say there are damages to your car.
When I saw these damages, I wanted to wring her neck.
Did she tell you, or did you find out on your own?
She didn't say that. She didn't.
No, she claimed she did, but no. The next morning when I woke up, I'm like, what the hell?
So let me ask you something. If you have these cars that you love so much, why are you driving her car?
I don't know why. I mean, like I said, I like Porsches and Land Rovers. But you know what? I know one thing. I'm not going to do it ever again. I'm going to finance my own Land Rover or Porsche.
Oh wow.
And give me a third car if I have to.
Who needs a third car?
I'll have 3 rides sitting right there.
Okay, so you then go outside the next day and you say you see damages to your Land Rover.
Exactly.
May I see the photos, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you admit that you did hit the bumper of the Land Rover. So let's see the photos on the flat screen. Oh, what is that?
We taped that together the next day.
Who did?
She and I. But needless to say, until she.
Is that duct tape?
Yeah.
So you fix it with duct tape, and then do you take it? What's the agreement in terms of payment? Do you have insurance?
Well, Your Honor, I didn't want to take it through the insurance company because she's my sister. She told me she was just going to, for now, we'll tape it up and she'll fix it. Well, what has happened between now and then is that she has justified that going to Jamaica for my birthday in October, because she paid for the airline tickets.
In Bahamas,
Stop.
Your Honor.
That has nothing to do with nothing.
Did you agree to fix the damages on her car?
I mean, verbally, but after all these trips now,
a verbal agreement is an agreement.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
So you agreed to fix the damages? Let me see the estimates, please. And what's your excuse for not paying?
I mean, to tell you the truth, I paid for these trips to Jamaica and to the Bahamas and our food and we scotch taped we even here. We scotch taped the bumper in the front end.
So you feel like because
we was even in. And then Your Honor, you can barely even tell if you look at you really gotta go really close and look at the bumper in the front end.
So she should be okay with duct tape being on her Land Rover.
Your Honor, from a distance, you can't even tell there's something wrong with it. If it's on the opposite side of the street, you can't even tell. You have to really go next to it. Is what.
Okay, so you think that she should be okay with? That may be okay for you if you want to put duct tape on your cars, but why should that be okay for her?
Exactly. To me, it was okay when we was taking those trips.
Well, see, that's the issue. If you agreed to pay, you can't then change the agreement in your own head because you take trips and you pay for a part of the trip. That wasn't a part of the agreement. So you can't then go and say, well, I'm changing the agreement now because I paid for these trips for you when you agreed to pay for the damage to her Land Rover.
Exactly. Yana, can I show you?
Listen, you just gave me this whole speech about you loving luxury cars, and then you want her to have bootleg duct tape on her Land Rover.
Your Honor. I have to drive.
Yana, can I show you the description?
No, we're done. We're done. I've heard enough. I get why you say you haven't paid because you feel like you've paid in other ways taking these trips, but that's not the agreement. You agreed to pay for the damages for the car, and that is what I'm going to order you to pay. Why are you asking for $268 for car rental? You're still driving the Land Rover, right?
I do. However, it's parked for the most. But I figured
Did that duct tape stop you from driving the car?
No, it hasn't. But I figured that the week that it might take to get it fixed, that I might need a rental car.
Oh, so you're just proactively asking for a rental car. You haven't actually had to use a rental car yet. You're just anticipating that might happen.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to speculate as if you will need a rental car. My judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, $1,386.11 plus court cost. Good luck, ladies.
Your Honor.
His car hits hers, but who's responsible?
She told him to shut the car off. If he wouldn't have never shut the car off, the car would have never reverted. It never would have hit her car.
Something's gonna happen to my car. Somebody's gotta pay for this.
This all happened over the course of 3 weeks.
Yes.
And later, the tale of the hair.
They ended up evicting me that day on April 22nd.
Lo and behold, I see poop on the carpet, and so I walked in further, and I saw a bunny in the closet.
Why would Alicia lie about this? She has no idea this issue was gonna come up in court.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Jessica Acton is suing her former boyfriend for $4,000 for damage to her car. Defendant Richard Wilson says he's not responsible. He is countersuing for $400 for the cost of a Chihuahua. He is accompanied in court by his cousin, Drayshawn Burns.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Acton versus Wilson.
Thank you, Barbara. Jessica Acton?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Richard Wilson, for $4,000 for damage to your car?
Yes.
And you are countersuing, sir, for $400 for the cost of a Chihuahua?
Yes.
Why don't you start, Ms. Acton, and tell me how you know the defendant?
At the end of July, I had actually got on my friend's Facebook page, and I had met him through comments, and we started talking.
So you saw his photo on Facebook, and he just sort of caught your eye?
Yeah, she was feeling me. She was feeling me.
Oh.
Yes.
You can say that, but yeah, I was still talking with my son's dad.
No, you weren't. You was like...
Mr. Wilson, hold on a second. So you saw him on Facebook, and you struck up a conversation? You made the first contact?
Yes.
And how did you go about doing that?
I just said, hey, how are you doing? And he said, do you know me? And I said, no, but we can get to know each other because we have the same Facebook friends, same mutual friends, and I figured that we know the same exact people out in real life too.
Okay, so when was this?
This was at the end of July.
The two of you start a relationship?
Yes.
Okay, and how was the relationship when you first started dating?
His ex-girlfriend was constantly messaging me, saying a bunch of stuff to where she was gonna pop up at his mom's house and she was gonna do stuff to me. This girl was crazy.
Why would you continue to be involved with someone who has a, as you described, crazy ex like that?
Because she wasn't in the picture as to what I was told. So I just left it at that, and it was just gonna be me and him, and we were just gonna go on and just do us.
Well, how long had you been dating at this point?
We weren't dating at this time. We were just getting to know each other. And I had told him specifically, I said, I don't want to start dating you right away because the next person that I date, I'm going to marry him because he's going to be the father to my son.
So eventually you get into some type of car accident.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What happened?
He had went out of town to Colorado for about a week. And then he came back. And he had called me. He needed me to pick him up and follow him down to the rental car place to drop off his car. So we pull up to his mom's house. His mom's driveway is a hill. He pulls in first. I pull in behind him. He leaves his car and drive and goes inside. And his cousin is outside still just talking. They're doing something in the trunk or whatever, running stuff in and outside. And I tell the cousin, I said, you're wasting gas by leaving that car run. Why don't you just shut that car off? So he goes to the driver's side, he shuts the car off. The car rolls back and hits my car. And so then I'm like, something's gonna happen to my car. Somebody's gotta pay for this.
Did you have insurance in your car?
Yes, I did.
The insurance didn't cover the damages?
I didn't call the insurance because it wasn't my fault.
Hold on.
I wanted him to pay for it.
I was in the house when all this happened.
But you have insurance.
I'm on
coverage.
SR22.
So you choose not to report, and you just want him to pay out of pocket, and you have no car insurance.
I do. I carry SR22. That's why my license is valid now.
Okay.
And I told her if I had to, I would take it through my insurance. But me and her went and got estimates.
Okay, so both of you have SR22 insurance. What does that mean exactly?
Like you got caught driving without insurance, so they give you.
I got caught getting a DUI.
I was drinking and driving, and I had to get put on SR22 for 3 years.
Okay, what's your reason for having the
Because
insurance?
I got caught driving without insurance, and every time I don't pay my SR22, they automatically suspend my license.
All right. So you go in the house and you leave the car running?
I was rushing because I had to get the rental car back by a certain time, so I didn't have to pay the extra day. I think I left it in, I'm not sure, I left it in drive, I went in the house. Next thing you know, I hear them screaming. She told him to shut the car off. If he wouldn't have never shut the car off, the car would have never reverted. It never would have hit her car.
Step up, sir.
But it's
Who are
common
you?
sense to put it in park.
I was rushing.
Park.
Can you step over? Who are you?
I'm Jay Sean, his cousin.
Okay, what happened?
We was all rushing. Her car was in the back, and his car was in the front. And then she was like, "Oh, the car gonna run out of gas." So I wasn't thinking.
So you turn the car off and it goes backwards.
Yeah, it was like 2 feet away from each other, though.
And then it hits her car, though.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can have a seat.
Coming up on Judge Faith.
So in 3 weeks, not only did you get him a cell phone,
I brought her a dog.
and you've met each other's parents, but you have now bought a dog together.
And later, overbearing roommate rules.
Well, Victoria was just really controlling. She would write us emails like how often we take out the trash in our own bedroom. She sent us emails about the placement of the salt and pepper shakers on the table.
Plaintiff Jessica Acton is suing her former boyfriend for damages to her car. Defendant Richard Wilson says he wasn't in the car when it was hit.
How long after this incident happened did the two of you break things off?
I was falling off after that. Like, it took me about a week after this whole situation with the car because he was not wanting to pay it. He kept telling me he's going to claim under insurance. Then he said he was going to pay for it in cash. Then he said his insurance was going to cover it. And then that's when he just stopped contacting me.
Are you working?
Letting me know.
Yes.
Okay, what do you do for a living?
I'm a baker.
How long have you been a banker?
A year. When we had a conversation about what she was naming her son, that's when all hell broke loose. I was trying to get her not to name her son. Why would you name your son Day One?
My son,
Why
his
would you
name
name your
is
son
Day One because he
Ezekiel.
is going to be my one and only. He is going to be there unless I do something wrong to him.
And
So
my family said,
he is my Day One.
If somebody names their son that, they got to be something wrong with him, so you need to get away from him. So
you guys are arguing over the name of her
we
child?
argued about several times.
This is not your son, right?
No.
Okay.
But we were together at the time, but that's when everything kind of switched up. When we got into that argument, that's when we just stopped talking.
Over the name Day One?
Yeah.
Does that really bother you?
Yeah, that bothers me. It bothers my family. I'm like, family's like Richard. If you can't be with nobody like that. There's something wrong with them if they name their son Day One.
For naming their son a unique name?
Day One Ezekiel is not a unique name.
Ezekiel is God may strengthen, thank you.
But
so
Day
you
One.
must just not believe in God.
Never said
Maybe
that.
you should get some church in your life.
How long did the two of you date?
Not even 3 weeks.
This all happened over the course of 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Do you have estimates for the car damage?
Yes, I do.
May I see them, please? You have a counterclaim for $400.
No, I don't even, just forget about it because she wanted the cell phone back. I said, if I give you the cell phone back, then you give me my dog back.
Okay, and what happened with that?
The only reason she bought me a cell phone was so my ex had stopped texting me. That was the whole reason she bought me a cell phone.
This all happened over the course of 3 weeks?
Yes. I didn't need a cell phone.
I have a kind heart, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I do like to take care of
No,
people.
if you have a
I
kind
like to
heart,
help
you know
people.
what? Cook somebody dinner. But you don't buy them cell phones, because that just looks like you're trying to buy love. Not somebody you've only known for 3 weeks and you met him on Facebook. I asked you about your counterclaim for the dog, and you said don't worry about it. Why is that?
Because I brought the dog. It was for me and her. But when she got
So in 3 weeks, not only did you get him a cell phone,
I brought her a dog.
and you've met each other's parents, but you have now bought a dog together.
No, we did not. He had got the dog out of town, said that it was a Chihuahua, and when he brought it back, he handed it to me and said that I could have the dog. And I was like,
No.
this is not a Chihuahua.
No.
And then I
She
gave
fell in love
him
with
back
the
the
dog.
dog.
Who has the dog?
She does.
No, I do
Okay,
not.
and why do you think you should get the dog back?
No, because the dog wasn't for her. She just fell in love with the dog. She just as soon as
What's the dog's name?
I don't even remember. I don't remember the dog's
Sir,
name. 'Cause
okay,
it's been
so
long.
you just made this counterclaim out of spite. You don't
Yeah.
even know the dog's name, and you're coming in here saying you want the dog back. That's not going to happen. Your counterclaim is dismissed, As for the car damages, in terms of liability, this was an accident and I am going to find that you are responsible for the damages. You have provided me with 2 estimates, one for $1,500 and one for $2,127. So I'm going to order him to pay you the lower of the 2 estimates. My judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, $1,509.04. That's what you owe her, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
Plaintiff Danielle Cable is suing her former landlord for $1,200 for an illegal eviction and security deposit. She is accompanied by her boyfriend, Mark Harvey. Defendant Victoria Lee and James Valet say the eviction was legal, and they attempted to return her portion of the deposit.
Danielle Cable?
Yes.
You are suing the defendants, James Vallier and Victoria Lee, for $1,200, the cost for an illegal eviction and the return of your security deposit?
Yes.
And you have a witness with you today. Who are you, sir?
Mark Harvey.
And how do you know the plaintiff?
Girlfriend.
So tell me, Ms. Cable, when did you move into the defendant's unit? Was it an apartment or a home?
It was a house, and I was just renting a room in their house.
Okay, tell me how you came to know about their room that they were renting.
Well, we had actually contacted each other through Craigslist, and they had invited me over to look at the room. When I did move in, they said that Victoria Lee was the house manager, and I was to pay all rent and utilities to her. She also made up all the rules.
Is this your home that you live in?
Yeah, we live in a home.
And do you lease a number of rooms out in the home?
There are 5 bedrooms, and yes, we leased 3 rooms.
And how much did you agree to pay per month?
Per month, it was $600 plus utilities, and then there was a $600 security deposit.
So tell me what happened.
Well, when I had moved in, Victoria started making all the rules. She would come into our room unannounced. She made rules about like...
Well, who was living in your room?
I was living in my room. It was just me.
Actually, it wasn't just you. I think it was you and a rabbit for several months, apparently. And by the way, we don't go in your room.
I didn't have the rabbit for several months. I only had it for a day, so it wasn't several months.
Well, before we get to the rabbit, tell me what else happened.
Well, Victoria was just really controlling. She would write us emails like, one time there were salt grains and pepper grains on the countertop, so she had sent us emails making sure we clean up the salt grains on the countertop. She had sent us emails about how often we take out the trash in our own bedroom. She sent us emails about the placement of the salt and pepper shakers on the table.
So what's going on, Miss Victoria?
I like to keep the place nice and tidy for other roommates. So if I was to come in the room and leave with a mess, would you like to come in and spend your time there?
Your Honor, we have pictures of how we normally keep.
And what's your relationship to Mr. Vallier?
Fiance.
What month and year did you move in?
I moved in January 2014.
When did you move out?
May 2014.
Okay, so you weren't even there for 6 months.
No, I was there for 4 months.
What happened?
All the roommates actually became really frustrated with Victoria and how controlling she is. I text Jim saying, hey, I'm gonna be moving out. I found a place to live. She sends me 2 days later another text message saying, hey, is there any way you can leave earlier? We call each other, and we had decided, okay, fine, I'll just move out on the 1st.
Coming up, funny bunny business.
What were you doing with the bunny in the room?
So I was only in there for a day.
So when I asked the other roommates, she was like, no, she showed it to me like 2 or 3 months ago.
Plaintiff Danielle Cable says her former landlord illegally evicted her and she is suing for her deposit and damages. Defendants Victoria Lee and James Valle say their tenant violated her agreement by sneaking in a bunny.
Who found the bunny?
I did.
Tell me what happened.
We had a problem with our cable. I led the cable guy into Danielle's room, and lo and behold, I see poop on the carpet. So I was like, what is it? And so I walked in further, and I saw a bunny in the closet.
What were you doing with the bunny in the room?
Well, the day before, an acquaintance from work had come up to me and said that he had to get rid of a rabbit. My other roommate actually worked for a pet hospital, so I'd come home, brought it home that day, contacted my roommate, and we were gonna go set it up to a pet rescue through her work. So I was only in there for a day, and we were gonna give it to a pet rescue through her work.
She told me that she was babysitting her mother's rabbit. And so when I asked the other roommates, she was like, no, she showed it to me like 2 or 3 months ago. I even have the texts for it.
Oh, may I see that, please?
You'll have to keep tapping it because it might close up.
Okay.
just tap the screen.
That's a text message from one of the roommates who had seen the rabbit and over 2 months prior.
Okay, hold on, let me just read this. You knew there was a rabbit in the room, and who is Alicia?
That's the roommate who works for the pet hospital.
Yeah, but she just told me about it like a couple of weeks ago. She said she had it for months.
Right.
No.
Why would Alicia lie about this? She has no idea this issue is going to come up in court. I don't believe you.
That's fair. But it couldn't have been, like, how could it have been months? Because they would come in to show the room.
Well, how long? If it's not months, I don't believe it was a day. So I'm going to ask you again and give you an opportunity to tell me the truth. How long did you have the bunny in the room?
I mean, like it was probably like a week at tops. But
okay, so
I mean,
the story that you told me before when you said you just got it the day before and it was only in your room for that one day, that wasn't the truth?
No.
Let me see the photos of the rabbit in the room.
That's her bunny.
It was in a cage.
Actually, if you look at some of the doors open, if you look at the carpet, the bed, there's poop on the bed.
Who took these photos?
I did.
When?
The day that it occurred.
And what is this a photo of?
The poop all over the carpet. You can see little spots.
Okay. You were suing for illegal eviction.
Yeah.
Because after you saw the bunny, what happened?
I contacted Jim, and I notified him that there's a bunny in the room, and it didn't look like it's brand new. There's poop all over the floor. There's just trash and food, bunny poop, food all over. And so I advised him what I needed to do.
Okay, and you did what? Did you ask her to leave?
No, Danielle, I actually spoke to Danielle while I was in Vietnam, and Danielle said that it was in hers and Mark's best interest, because Mark spent a lot of time there.
Who's Mark?
That's her boyfriend who practically lives there.
Oh, so you knew there was a bunny in the room, too?
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
Yes.
Mark?
She said it was in hers and Mark's best interest to leave.
So why are you suing for illegal eviction?
Okay, so when Victoria text messaged me that she found the rabbit, she said that she was going to get rid of it. And so I came home, I dropped it off at some friend's house, like in an hour, it was out of the house. She then came up to the room and she told me to come downstairs, and she had told me that she was gonna give me a 3 days notice. I said, you can't do that, it needs to be in writing. She said, it's my house, I can do whatever I want. They ended up evicting me that day on April 22nd. Praise God, I had so many friends there to support me, so we were able to pack up everything, get everything out. That day, we vacuumed. I even came back the next day, washed down the walls. Everything was fine and dandy.
You move out, and what happened with the security deposit? What happened with that?
The security deposit was used to offset the cost to rehabilitate the room. The carpets had to be washed.
Right.
There was a number of problems with the room. She had made a hole in the wall to mount a television.
So how much did she pay for a security deposit when she moved in?
$600.
And how much did you give her back?
$393.44.
Yeah, $393, but I had retextured the wall. I had filled the wall, retextured it, had the paint professionally matched, cleaned the carpets.
Do you still have the check for $393 for the security deposit?
Yeah.
And is that check still valid? You have not
no,
stopped
Your Honor.
payment?
No, Your Honor, we stopped payment on that, Your Honor.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
Based on the emails that were presented to me, I'm not going to find that you were illegally evicted. Here's what I think about the rest of your case.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have a lot of credibility right now as you stand before me.
Okay, I understand.
Because you lied to me. I don't know at this point if the rest of your testimony is the truth.
Okay.
So I'm going to order them to pay you $393, which is what you originally tried to return to her, because there's no way they're going to have to take up the carpet. Based on the photos I saw, no one else is going to want to live in that room where there's rabbit poop all over the place, and they shouldn't have to. So my judgment in this case is for you for $393. Good luck.
These two motorists run into each other, but one just wants to run away.
All of a sudden, bam! And I just see this big red car just literally ripping my door. It's just crunching it all up. And I'm yelling, stop, what are you doing? Stop.
It didn't seem like it was much damage, so I kept on going.
Let me make sure I understand this. You were able to assess the damage to his vehicle while you were still driving as you hit his door?
And later, This couple met online and married in Hawaii.
Was it a dating site or was it like a social media type of site?
I think it was MySpace.
Oh, MySpace, okay.
Yeah.
This was back in the 80s then, no, I'm just kidding.
But now it's paradise lost.
I was constantly supporting us throughout our marriage.
That's what a lot of spouses have to do sometimes.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Alexander Perryman says that he was sitting in his car when the defendant hit him and then kept on driving. He is suing for damages to his vehicle. He is joined in court by friend Antoine Hubbard. Defendant Michael Williams says the accident was the plaintiff's fault since he left his car door wide open. He's countersuing for harassment, pain and suffering, and lost wages.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Perryman versus Williams.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, Mr. Alexander Perryman.
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing the defendant, Michael Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
For $2,352 for damages to your vehicle you say he caused as a result of a car accident?
Yes, indeed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll start with you, Mr. Perryman. What's going on here?
Well, good morning to you, Judge, or afternoon. Sorry. Sorry about that. On June 15th, I go to a friend's house, my friend Pat. He was throwing a Father's Day picnic and took my children with me, having a great time, you know, a lot of great laughs, food, drinks, that sort of thing. As the evening got on, pretty much about 12 or 1 o'clock, everyone started to leave.
In the morning?
Yes, in the morning.
Okay.
12, 1 o'clock in the morning, everyone started to leave.
That's not true.
Everyone started to leave about 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, Your Honor. And what ended up happening was I go to my car. I'm a music producer, been doing it for 23 years. I wanted to basically show my brother some music that I've been working on. So I go to my car, get inside of it, start it up, that sort of thing. Couldn't find the song that I was looking for. So went ahead and turned my car off, checked my mirrors, just to make sure if anybody was coming down the street or anything like that, because I was going to get out of the car. Opened the car door slightly, not too much, and all of a sudden, bam! You know, there's this crash. I look over to my left, I'm startled because I'm scared, I don't know what's going on, and I just see this big red car just literally like ripping my door. It's like just crunching it all up, ripping it all up, just steady going, and I'm yelling, "Stop, what are you doing, stop!" And I mean, the window is down on Mike Williams' truck, clearly.
Did you see him in the car at that point?
Yeah, I seen him in the car.
Did you know him?
I was introduced to him earlier in that day.
Okay.
My brother's house.
Okay. Like I said, I'm in the car, I'm yelling at him, "Stop, stop, what are you doing?" You know, and he's steady going. I mean, he didn't hear me. He didn't have any headlights on or anything. I mean, he's steady going. I mean, just steady moving.
Not true.
And I mean, everyone that was there at the party, they seen it. I mean, everyone is saying, you know, looking like in amazement, like, what is going on here? He never stopped. He never came back. And he kept going on. So at this
he kept
point,
driving. So he left the party?
Yes, he left the party.
Okay, so what happened?
That's not true.
Okay.
I left the party, right? When his door was wide open.
Definitely
wide
true.
open.
So
and
you
it's
saw
pitch
his
black
door?
on the block. No, it didn't. It's pitch black on the block. It's not. It's only like one car go down the street.
Okay, sir, you said his door was wide open.
Wide open.
So you saw his door before you hit it then?
No, I didn't.
How do you know his door was wide open? Excuse me, sir.
So I got
How
up
do you know
on it.
his
So I
door
got
was
up on the
wide
car.
open? I'm sorry?
I got up on the car. It's wide open.
Okay, and so you tried to slow down to avoid hitting the door?
No, I was going past already. I couldn't slow down. I was letting the car roll. I couldn't slow down.
Okay,
it happened already.
So you hit
it happened
his
already.
car.
I didn't realize until I heard it.
Okay, and so what did you do after you realized you hit his car?
It's like it didn't seem like it was much damage, so I kept on going.
So you just kept going.
It wasn't much damage
So
to the
you
car.
were able to.
It wasn't much damage to the car.
What type of sense does this make?
Let me make sure I understand this. You were able to assess
I didn't hear no
the
sound like
damage.
you're saying. All that
Hold on a
noise said.
second. You were able to assess the damage to
No.
his vehicle
No,
while
ma'am.
you were still driving
No,
as
ma'am.
you hit
No,
his
ma'am.
door?
No.
And so that's why
No.
you kept going?
No. I didn't realize I hit his door.
How long had you been at this party?
About an hour.
And had you been drinking?
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
A couple beers.
That's not true.
Hold on a second.
Couple beers.
That's what everyone says, by the way, when they've been drinking and they get in the car to drive. Everyone says they've only had 2 drinks. No one has ever had more than 2 drinks.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who's your witness today?
My witness is my brother Antoine. He was there with me.
Can you step up, sir?
Yeah.
You wasn't even out there.
What'd you say, boy?
You wasn't even out there.
He was definitely out there.
I know when I got there about 10 o'clock, you was still there.
Mr. Hubbard, speak to me.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you witness?
I witnessed him coming around the corner. He didn't have on no headlights.
Not true. My headlights on auto. They on auto all the time, so he comes on automatically.
So you're saying you did have your headlights on?
Yes, ma'am.
When he turned the corner, Alexander's door was cracked. He sideswiped his car.
Stop interrupting, please.
He sideswiped the car. But if you look at the pictures, you'll see where he hit the door on the edge. If the door was open, he would have knocked the door all the way back if he hit the car.
Okay.
Everybody trying to flag him down and stop him.
He kept going.
Yes, he kept going. He kept on going.
Thank you, sir. You can have a seat. Thank you. Okay, let's see the photos.
Okay, now as you can see there, Your Honor, the door was not wide open at all. Like I said, he was so close to me that he opened the door. If the door was wide open,
so it kind of bent in this way.
Yes, it bent in this way, and then as he was moving, the door was opening wider, but it did not tear completely off.
Sir, why are you trying to describe what's in the photos? You said it was dark that night.
He was intoxicated.
And you kept going. So what would you know about the damages?
Coming up on Judge Faith. How many other car accidents has this gentleman been in?
He, in fact, recommended me to the auto body shop that I went to get the estimate.
Most people don't have a person on call that they use to have estimates for car damages.
Thank you. Let you know how many accidents this man has.
And later, Judge Faith untangles this lover's quarrel.
Miss Reese refused to change her last name to mine. It wouldn't have been such a big deal if it was her maiden name, but her last name is her ex-husband's last name.
Really? Plaintiff Alexander Perryman is suing for damages to his car after a hit and run. Defendant Michael Williams says the accident is the fault of both parties, and he's not solely responsible.
I talked to Mr. Williams on the 17th. Mr. Williams,
excuse me, sir.
Mr. Williams openly admitted to me that it was his fault that he had been drinking that night, that he hadn't even realized that he had hit my car. He didn't even realize that it happened.
Not true.
He was just that intoxicated. I mean, who drives a car and you're that drunk where you don't realize that you hit a car door and you keep going? He was drunk, and he openly admitted that that's what happened.
Not true.
So
why are you, sir? Stop saying that's not true. You'll have an opportunity to respond in a second.
You, Your Honor.
I get it. Everything he's saying is not true. Okay? I understand your position, but let me hear what he has to say.
Okay.
I talked to Mr. Williams. He said that he would assess the damages. He'll pay for it out of pocket. He admitted to me that he did not want to go through his insurance because he had an accident earlier in that year where he wrecked his mother's car because of intoxication.
No, my son did it. My son was driving.
Yes,
yes.
My son was driving my mother's car.
Have you been arrested for DUI before? Have you been stopped for DUI?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Where did you get that information from?
Right.
I got it from his brother that was also there as well.
That's not true.
I got it from Patty and his brothers. I would not fabricate this.
So you have a conversation with the defendant. He admits fault.
Yes, he admits
he's
fault.
Responsible.
Absolutely.
And then the issue came down to when you asked him did you submit some kind of proof of damages to him?
Well, actually, he in fact recommended me to the auto body shop that I went to get the estimate.
That's true.
Did you send him to your auto collision person? Okay, and how is it that most people don't have a person on call that they use to have estimates for car damages? So how do you have a person on call?
Let you know how many accidents this man has.
That's why I took my car too.
Just let you know how many accidents he has.
Okay. Mr. Williams, tell me about your counterclaim, sir. What lost wages have you suffered as a result of this case?
Off work.
3 days?
For what?
My car was in the shop.
Okay,
really?
and you blame the plaintiff for that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was from a hangover.
Yes. And harassment.
That's what it was from. It was from
harassment, calling me excessive times a day. Harassment,
How was he harassing you?
At work.
Because he was calling, trying to get payment for his car?
Exactly.
That's the harassment?
That's what he's trying to do.
Okay, sir. Your counterclaim is dismissed.
You was out of town. One of the
so you know.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. Exactly. The fact that I had to call this man, I mean, it just shows his irresponsibility as a man. I mean, what are you still a kid? Are you wearing diapers or something? I mean, what's going on? I shouldn't have to check up on a grown man to actually handle his responsibility. I had insurance. Thank you very much.
So here's the deal. First of all, the fact that you're saying, well, it was minimal damage, that's why I didn't stop, I don't believe that for a second. I don't know if you had been drinking and that's why you kept going and you just didn't know what you were doing. I don't know what your reason was. Maybe perhaps you thought, he doesn't know who I am, I can just drive away and he won't be able to, he won't know. But whatever it was, it doesn't matter. You can't do that. If you hit someone's car causing them damage, the right thing to do, the stand-up thing to do is stay at the scene and address the fact of what you just did and handle your responsibility.
Thank you.
You understand?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Your Honor. Thank you.
So, judgment in this case for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,352 plus court cost. Good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Plaintiff Tiffany Ruiz took care of all the bills for her husband, but now that they are divorced, she'd like to be reimbursed. She is suing for $6,500. Defendant John Markham says that his ex-wife wanted to help him get his life back on track and that he shouldn't have to pay for things that they shared during the marriage.
Tiffany Ruiz?
Yes, ma'am.
You were suing the defendant John Markham for $6,500 for repayment of unemployment, and I'll let you explain to me what that means, court fines, and license reinstatement fees. You understand the statutory maximum in my court is $5,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and as I understand it, the defendant is your ex-husband.
Yes.
And you are saying that you loaned him money before you got married and during the course of the marriage.
Yeah, I loaned him money before we were married, and then when we were at the tail end of our marriage.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. How did all of this happen? When did you first meet Mr. Markham?
I met Mr. Markham in 2007, I do believe, and met him on the internet, and we started dating. Everything was good. He was a very nice guy, swept me off my feet, you know, bought flowers and special things, and it was all really, really good.
What website, do you remember?
I don't.
Okay.
I actually think it was MySpace.
Oh, MySpace, okay.
Yeah.
This was back in the 80s then, no, I'm just kidding.
Kind of felt like
Long time ago.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
And he had a catchy line, and I was coming off
What
of
was the catchy line?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I just remember it being the line.
Okay, the one that worked.
The one that worked,
All
that got
right.
me interested, yeah. Started dating, like I guess any couple would, go out, have a good time. He lived in Boise and I lived in Nampa, Idaho, and I guess it was just like any other kind of dating. So before we got married, he had a warrant. He had several citations that I had no idea about, wasn't something that John really kind of divulged. We got into a circumstance where he was bringing me insurance, and he got his license and his registration ran for the truck that he was driving, and the police arrested him at that time for an outstanding warrant.
For what?
Failure to pay fines.
Okay.
He spent his 30 days, and I waited for him. But part of his contract for being released on his 30 days after his thing was to get his fines paid, because he had several that were not taken care of for a really long time. So he had to have those things taken care of in order to stay out of jail.
Well, you say you loaned him the money. How much was it?
When I looked it all up, at that time it was $2,800.
Yeah, because it's been so long. You're talking about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing this to court.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you pay for tickets? Can you tell me what the conversation was? Do you remember?
I just threw it out to her and gave her the option, you know, could you help me? If not, I understand, I will find my means to do it, but I want to get this settled and get my life in order.
And did you ask for any of this money back before you got married?
Yes, he was going to be paying it back, yes.
Was that true, sir?
To help pay her back, if any means possible, but go from there.
If you were asking, like, if there's a timeline when he was supposed to pay me back, no. He was just supposed to get a job and continue to pay me back for these particular fines.
And so you gave him all this money and you're just dating him. He's not your husband. How long have you known him at this point?
About a year.
You're also suing for loans you say you gave to him during the course of your marriage?
Correct.
Tell me about that. Where'd you get married?
Hawaii.
Where did you live after you were married?
We lived in Idaho for a little while, and then we moved to Hawaii.
What state is your marriage license from?
Hawaii.
Coming up, is the plaintiff only bringing up this case now because her ex has found another love?
Your husband makes a comment about how great it is to marry a sugar mama.
So where were you served?
At my in-laws' house the day before my wedding.
I couldn't find him.
Plaintiff Tiffany Ruiz says she is owed money for loans that were not a gift to her ex. Defendant John Markham says that he shouldn't have to pay for things they shared while they were married.
Part of the loans and stuff too is, John had a really hard time holding consistent jobs. Part of that reason was because he was a certified exhaust tech, a well tech, and in order to drive those cars, he had to have a license. So every time he would get the job, he would have no trouble getting the job, they would let him go because their insurance would not cover him because he had no license. So I was constantly supporting us throughout our marriage, and that was becoming an issue. So we couldn't afford to live.
That's what a lot of spouses have to do sometimes.
This was to an extreme.
If I may have job jumped. I did do that, but I was always consistent about having jobs, and I never went very long without having a job or having income.
And, I have stuff here too, Your Honor, for like the W-2 showing how much unemployment John had collected because he had been unemployed for so many times. And so
you married him. This is your husband that you're talking about here.
Things change. When something is amazingly great and then all of a sudden you get married and your parents tell you that your husband makes a comment about how great it is to marry a sugar mama, things change, and John changed, and things that he would say and things that he would do.
Ma'am. It is, however, true that the reason that our marriage did eventually fall apart was due to the circumstances that 6 months into the marriage, Miss Reese refused to change her last name to mine, and which wouldn't have been such a big deal if it was her maiden name, but her last name is her ex-husband's last name.
And the reason I did that, Your Honor, John was never allowed to be on my bank accounts. I'm going to do that because I'm giving myself to somebody fully. And unfortunately, after we got married and I found out all these things, I wasn't going to let him on my bank accounts. I wasn't going to change my name because I didn't see the marriage as lasting.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
Why are you doing this now? Why have you brought this lawsuit now?
He stopped making payments.
And the fact that it's a little awkward to me that I had just previously gotten married. I just got married last month.
I can answer why. I couldn't find him. So I found where his now wife, had posted where they were getting married and what was going on, and that was the only way I could have him served. I had no idea where he was. So where were you served?
Actually, at my in-laws' house the day before my wedding.
I couldn't find him.
You didn't have a prenuptial agreement, right?
No.
And you just told me that you didn't have a post-nuptial agreement. You don't have anything in writing about who will be responsible for what debts. When you're married and you're living in California, which is in a community property state, that means that there's joint ownership in your marriage. When you acquire property, that's joint ownership. The same thing applies to debt. If you wanted him to pay back this money, this should have been a part of your divorce dissolution, your divorce decree, a post-nuptial agreement. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at this is community property debt, ma'am. I cannot order him to pay back community property debt. Unfortunately, I cannot help you. Your case is dismissed, judgment for the defendant.
It's sister versus brother.
She said it was a loan. What do you say happened?
I get a thing in the mail and it was a $3,000 check. This is a blessing.
A blessing?
I believe this is more of a spiritual issue than a financial issue.
So he tells you he has $6,000 and he needs what?
$3,000.
What was he trying to buy?
And later, a cabinet maker tried to make his customer satisfied.
When did she first tell you that there was an issue with your work? When it was finished?
Yeah.
Did you go back and do any additional work?
Oh yeah, I took all the doors and drawer fronts and sanded them down and refinished them.
Did you pay him then?
No.
You have a lot of experience with remodeling, so you're not the typical person that comes in and has absolutely no knowledge.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Carol Tucker is suing her younger brother for defaulting on a loan on their late mother's home. Defendant Byron Tucker says his sister gave him the money as a blessing, not a loan, because he cared for their ill mother until she passed away.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Tucker versus Tucker.
Thank you, Barbara. Carol Tucker?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Byron Tucker.
Yes.
For $3,000 for an unpaid loan?
Yes.
And you say, sir, that this was not a loan, it was a blessing.
It was a blessing.
So you do not have to pay it back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll start with you, Ms. Tucker. How do you know Mr. Tucker?
He is my brother.
Okay. Older brother?
No, it was 8 of us. I'm number 4 and he was number 7. We grew up in Detroit, Michigan. He later moved to San Diego. And later after that, I moved to San Diego. Got a job, got a car, got a condo. And
do you still work now?
No, I'm a retired chemist.
What kind of chemist were you?
I think I was a good one. It was in San Diego, and we analyzed water. Byron left San Diego and moved back to Detroit. He eventually moved into the house with my mother. My mother lived downstairs, he lived upstairs.
Why did you move back to Detroit?
My father passed. My mother's illnesses started coming up. I was the only logical sibling to move back because I wasn't married at the time. And so I moved back to Detroit and started taking care of my mother. And I did that for almost 10 years.
Excuse me? Are you talking about me and you?
Yes. Yes. I'm talking about me and you.
This is a fantasy.
No.
Well, Ms. Tucker, let me hear what he has to say. So you moved back home to take care of your mother for the last 10 years of her life?
Yes, I did.
And that's true, right?
No, it isn't.
Okay. What do you say happened?
First of all, it was not the last 10 years of her life. My mother was healthy and vibrant. She did all kinds of things. She was a square dancer. Eventually, she had kidney problems. And so she needed someone to be there.
And do you still live in Detroit now?
Yes, I do.
So you stayed there.
I stayed there, wanted to be a part of there. And when my sister did come back after my mother had passed, just to visit, she asked me, how are you doing and what's going on in your life? And I said, I'm trying to get my book done. I want to go back in the prison system, be a counselor, and the dental work I got to get done.
Okay, well, hold on one second. I want her to tell me about how this, you say it's a $3,000 loan. I know you say it's something else, but tell me how that happened.
He told me that he had $6,000 of what he needed.
What was he trying to buy?
He wanted to buy the house itself.
The house where your mother
Yes, where
lived.
my mother lived.
Okay, and how much was the house?
He told me $9,000, and I think my sister told me the same.
Okay, so he tells you he has $6,000 and he needs what?
$3,000.
Okay, and what do you do?
Knowing that I had the money, I would help him based on something my mother told me. She said that Byron was a great help to her. And she said it sincerely, and I believed her. And that drove me to give him that money. Not give it to him, loan it to him.
She said it was a loan. What do you say happened?
When she came to Detroit, she came up to the apartment, how you doing, how's things going? And I said, I'm kind of depressed because of the fact that I can't get things pushing fast enough, moving forward.
On buying the house?
Not just to buying the house, because I had to get my dental work done, I was working on my book. I mean, these are all things that were important to me. It wasn't just the house, it was what was going on in my life.
Okay.
And so I was under the assumption my sister was trying to help me move my life forward. And so anything that blesses me would be good.
Okay, so what was the conversation, ma'am?
Ma'am,
what was the conversation about the $3,000?
There was no real conversation about the $3,000. She said, I want to help you if I can.
Mm-hmm.
She went home, San Diego. 2 weeks later, I get a check in the mail. I get a thing in the mail, and it was a $3,000 check. This is a blessing. Okay, that's why I believe this is more.
A blessing? Why don't you tell me?
I believe this is more.
What is that?
This is more
What
of a
is that?
spiritual issue than a financial issue. Because she blessed me, and I believe she gonna get blessed for blessing me. And I wanted her to get blessed. So I didn't want to interrupt the blessing.
In order
from
to
her
get
getting.
a blessing, Byron, you have to start out with a pure heart.
I got a pure heart.
And I don't think your heart is pure at all.
Ma'am, so, sir, you say that this was a blessing. Did at any point she tell you that this was a loan and she wanted to be paid back the money?
Coming up on Judge Faith, was the money an act of sisterly love?
I was under the assumption that my sister cared about me, wanted me to move forward in my life.
Do you have anything that would prove that it was a loan and not a gift?
I most certainly do.
And later, you can't have it both ways in Judge Faith's court.
Did you write in your answer that you had to get someone else to come in and correct the work?
Yes.
So why did you say that if that didn't happen?
Plaintiff Carol Tucker says her brother owes her money from an unpaid loan. Defendant Byron Tucker believes his sister was blessing him with the money in his time of need.
I was under the assumption that my sister cared about me, wanted me to move forward in my life.
Was there anything said or done at that moment in time when she sent you the $3,000 check that indicated to you that it was a loan that she expected to be repaid?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything, Ms. Tucker, that would prove that it was a loan and not a gift?
I most certainly do.
Do you have the check that you mailed?
Yes, I do. Pay close attention to the memo.
Sir, on the check it says a loan in the memo line. Does it not get any clearer than that?
I didn't pay attention to that.
What do you mean you didn't pay attention to it? You saw your name, you saw $3,000, but you didn't pay attention to a loan written in the memo line of the check?
I do not recall.
Because you were more... Now you don't recall.
I don't recall that incident right there when I looked at the check and decided
Mr. Tucker, the memo line does not say a blessing. It says a loan.
Your Honor, I didn't look at the memo line.
Oh, well, wait a minute. We have something else here. You actually signed a contract?
I do not recall, Your Honor.
Is there something wrong with your memory, Mr. Tucker?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
This was only 3 years ago. You
Yes.
don't recall signing a contract dated October 29, 2011?
I do not recall.
Let me show it to you, sir. Maybe that will jog your memory.
Okay.
Is that your signature, sir?
It looks to be my signature, yes.
But you don't remember signing this document? You don't remember signing this document?
I may have been so excited at the time, I just...
Mr. Tucker, why are you doing this? Your sister clearly loaned you $3,000. Why are you saying that it wasn't a loan?
I believe this is an issue that goes beyond just the money. It wasn't a financial issue. It was a more of a spiritual issue. I really think my sister wanted to move my life forward and help me get forward.
Sir, she was helping you with a loan, not a gift, a loan. Mr. Tucker, what did you do with the $3,000? Did you buy your mother's home?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
What did you do with the money?
Thank you.
I got my dental work done.
You got $3,000 worth of dental work?
Yes, I did.
I am so done with them.
Would you hand that back to the plaintiff?
May I introduce something else?
Sure.
In 2013, my brother put in a birthday card, "We're doing fine," he and his girlfriend, "and we can begin paying you back."
You don't remember that either?
I do not recall that.
Okay, I've heard enough. Mr. Tucker, I think that you did receive a blessing, sir. You were blessed and highly favored with a $3,000 loan from your sister, one that you are going to have to pay back. Don't try to pray on it. Don't try to rationalize it. Just write her the check, $3,000, verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck.
Plaintiff Chad Hatfield is suing the woman who hired him to design custom kitchen cabinets. He is seeking $2,750, which is the remainder of his fees. He says he had to redo the work free of charge, but the defendant still wasn't happy. Defendant Patricia Atwood says the job was not done to her satisfaction, and she'll need to hire someone else to fix the cabinets. She refuses to pay the remaining fee.
Chad Hatfield, you are suing the defendant Patricia Atwood for $2,750 for money you say she owes you for work you did for her and she didn't pay you for.
Correct.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a cabinet maker.
How long have you been making cabinets?
20 years.
And so at some point you enter into an agreement with the defendant to build cabinets for her?
Yep.
What kind of cabinets?
These would be custom bamboo cabinets.
Kitchen cabinets.
Okay, and why did you end up hiring him?
Well, my brother is down the Bay Area taking care of my mom. He has a rental, and I was in charge of fixing it up for the new tenants.
So this wasn't your home, this was a rental that you were fixing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I had gone to the local building supply and picked out these bamboo cabinets, very high end, and had gone through all the specs of laying out the kitchen and figuring out what would work and stuff. And just as I gotten all figured out, my carpenter said he had a friend who had a space in his schedule that he could do it probably faster and the same price.
And he's the person the carpenter was referring to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked at his website. What I really liked about the website, it wasn't just cabinets, it was lots of different things that he's done and a lot of different types of materials.
So who chose bamboo?
I did. I had bamboo flooring. I like the sustainability of it. When he came, I said, well, quality is really important to me. I'm willing to pay for it, and I really like good quality.
Did the two of you enter into a written agreement, or was this all verbal?
It was all verbal.
Okay, and what was the agreed upon price?
$5,000.
Okay, and did you get half of that up front?
Yes, I did.
And then you started doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
He built the cabinets, and you didn't pay him anything else?
I wasn't willing to pay for the remainder, no.
Okay, so when did she first tell you that there was an issue with your work? When it was finished?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build these?
6 weeks.
Okay, can we look at a photo of them, please? Wow, they look great.
They look beautiful. They really do. From afar, they look beautiful.
So what was the...
Coming up on Judge Faith, is it the defendant's fault for choosing bamboo?
Bamboo splits. That was your choice to use bamboo.
Plaintiff Chad Hatfield believes he did everything he could to please his client. He's suing for the remainder of his fee. Defendant Patricia Atwood claims his work is unprofessional and she'll need to have it redone.
The first email I got was the complaints about lint and debris in the finish.
And runs.
I assured her that that was a light protective coating that I put on after installation.
Which is not.
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
That would rub off in time.
And so what did you do when she told you that? Did you go back and do any additional work?
Oh yeah, I took all the doors and drawer fronts and sanded them down and refinished them.
And did you pay him then?
No.
Okay, what was the problem? What was the problem after that?
Okay, so first of all, it wasn't just what he said about lint and debris. I have remodeled houses. I've won an award for a house that I had done. I don't do the woodwork, but I often do the finish work, and so I know how to put finish on wood.
Okay, so you weren't satisfied.
And his was not even close. There were so many runs to it. It looked like, excuse my language, but god-awful. It was not professional in any way. And so when I met with him, I said that. I mean, we went there and I said, this is not by anybody's standards.
Was that a photo before or after you took the cabinet doors down and redid them?
That's after.
What was the problem after he redid the work? For no additional cost, you just want the rest of the payment, right? Okay. What was the problem then?
That when he put the doors back on, he put in new drill holes that he did not fill. This is one of the cabinets, drawers of the cabinets.
I'll step down and take a look. You can show me what the issue is here.
When he put in new screw holes in, so he hasn't plugged these, right? So now there's holes there. And now look at the crack on both sides. That is definitely structural to the cabinet.
Are you telling me that there were cracks on every drawer?
Not every drawer. You cannot possibly have not noticed it when you installed it or did it. I've done enough woodworking
okay, and so
to know
what were the...
There's no way you can... So I would like to know from you,
ma'am,
how many of them...
Did you look at the inside of the drawers and did you see that there were cracks?
You can't install them without seeing it.
I tried dialogue through email to meet her at the house to address any concerns she had.
So you never saw the cracks, these cracks that I'm looking at now?
That's typical for bamboo.
I know a little bit about bamboo. Bamboo splits. A lot of people who work in construction don't like to use bamboo because of the splitting.
Correct.
So that's what I want you to explain to me.
Bamboo is actually a grass, it's not a wood, so it was very difficult to work with, and frays on the ends, and it has fibers that.
If you were
difficult to work
making
with.
cabinets, would bamboo be your choice of wood to
No,
use? Okay, did you communicate that to her at all?
I did, and
Absolutely not.
Let me see your photos.
Well, there's one that you can see that the piece of bamboo actually split through. So he's tried to glue it. You can see the glue. There's gaps. So he didn't even do a good job of, once he saw the crack, to glue it up.
Okay, next photo.
And then this shows the damage to the edges of multiple cabinets are.
Well,
it goes all the way down here.
But bamboo splits. That was your choice to use bamboo.
It was. But he never at any point during the production of
You
cabinets.
told me you won an award for remodeling. You seem like you've done this a lot and you have a lot of experience with remodeling. So you're not the typical person that comes in and has absolutely no knowledge in terms of what they want. You seem to be very sure of yourself. You wanted to use bamboo.
So can I address the bamboo for a minute?
No, I've heard enough about that.
No, because you didn't. You didn't hear.
Actually, I did.
He did
I
not.
just said I did. We're done. Okay. This is not my first rodeo. I hear these cases all the time, and I tell contractors, when you finish a job, take a photo of your work, because whenever issues like this come up, you want to have proof of your work and what you have done. So here we have an issue, which is really.
Can I submit these other pictures?
Don't interrupt me again.
I'm sorry.
Have you had anyone come in and correct the work that you say he did poorly?
I had tenants waiting to get in, so I did not have the opportunity. I will have to.
Okay, at some point, did you write in your answer that you had to get someone else to come in and correct the work?
Yes.
So why did you say that if that didn't happen?
When it happens? Yes, I will have to have somebody come and rebuild the cabinets.
But you have had tenants move in and they're living in there now, and no one's had to come in and correct the work you say was substandard, correct?
That's correct.
I have to make sure that you're not someone who is looking at work and sort of embellishing on minor issues so you don't have to pay him $2,500 of money that you owe. Because it's one thing for you to say, okay, you know what, I think there are some issues here. I'm going to have to find someone to correct this, Judge. This is what it's going to cost to get someone to correct this, and I'll pay him the remainder. If it costs someone $500 or $1,000 to come in and correct this, then I'll pay him the other $1,500. But you didn't do that. You just didn't pay him anything else.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
When I look at the cabinets, they really do look like beautiful cabinets, and it looks like he did a good job. Not only did he do it once, but he did it twice. Yeah, there's a small hole where a nail could have been that can easily be covered up in about 30 seconds. The real issue is with bamboo. I don't like the fact that you didn't pay him anything else. I think he deserved to be paid something for his work. You have tenants living in that home, and the kitchen looks beautiful.
It does
looks
from
beautiful.
afar, but not
and I
close.
think he deserved to be paid for his work, and I don't think you're being fair in keeping the entire $2,500 from him. So I'm going to order you to pay him the balance, $2,500 plus court costs. That's before the plaintiff.
This landlord says her tenant's just hammering out excuses.
Derek had agreed to rent it as is, knowing that there would be construction.
Drilling was going on nonstop.
But the tenant claims his landlord is lewd and lying.
I just jumped out of the shower and I thought it was Derek, and she was there. So she was
inside of the house?
She was inside the house.
Okay.
And later, this bike owner is revved up about a motorcycle that won't run.
What he's telling me about is not a starter problem, it's something else problem.
I'm done with you. I'm done working on your motorcycle. You can take it somewhere else.
What evidence do you have to present to me today that it is his fault that your bike isn't running after doing this work?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Landlord Pamela Kelly says her tenant rented a house that was discounted due to renovation, but then skipped out on the lease payments and left the place trashed. She's suing for $6,201 for unpaid rent and damages. Defendant Derek Rudd claims the rental was lacking and his complaints went unanswered. He is countersuing for $4,780 for his security deposit and relocation expenses. Derek is accompanied in court today by his partner, Benjamin Farman.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Judge, this case is Kelly versus Rudd.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, Miss Kelly, you say your former tenant owes you for unpaid rent and damages to your property in breach of contract, and you're suing him for $6,201. Mr. Rudd, you claim the house was unlivable, which forced you to move out early so you don't owe, and you're countersuing for rental charges, a new security deposit, and having to look for a new home, and your countersuit is for $4,780. Are you Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Okay, and who are you?
Benjamin Farman.
Are you the witness?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you have a seat for a second? Ms. Kelly, how long have you been a real estate broker?
I've been a real estate broker in San Francisco for 7 years.
Okay, and you rented a property to the defendant?
I did.
Tell me about how that happened.
He contacted me via email, and we met at the property the next day. He liked the property.
Tell me about the property. Is it a house or apartment?
It's a single-family home in the North Beach area of San Francisco, which is very rare to have a single-family home in that area. We had advertised the property as being discounted because we had construction going on underneath. We were adding a bedroom. And we reduced the rate accordingly. And Derek had agreed to rent it as is, knowing that there would be construction going on from 8 to 5 every day. And he agreed to meet me the next day at the property with the full amount of the money for the lease.
How much was the security deposit?
$2,500.
And how long was the lease for? Do you have a copy of it, by the way?
I do.
May I see it?
Yes.
It was a short-term lease, right?
It was a short-term lease.
Okay, so it was to?
June 15th.
June 15th, so okay. June 15th. And what was the monthly rent?
The monthly rent was $4,100.
$4,100. Okay. Did the defendant pay the April rent?
He did eventually pay it, yes.
Okay. Did he pay May rent?
He did not.
You moved out early?
Yes.
What did you like about the property when you saw the ad? What made you call her up and say, I'm interested in seeing this place?
One, of course, is that it was a single family home, and I'm in online advertising, and I don't like neighbors, and I work at home a lot, so that was a huge plus. But I also lived with my partner, and it had 2-car parking stated in the ad, as well as a washer and dryer, which is really key for me.
It was 1-car parking.
The ad says 2-car park.
Do you have a copy of the ad?
I do.
May I see it, please?
It was on multiple sites.
Okay, go ahead.
And
it does say 2-car parking, by the way. So you chose this place.
Yes.
What day did you move in?
On April 5th. And it was presented as one way, and
what was presented as one way?
The apartment.
Okay, so but you saw the apartment before you signed the lease and chose to move in.
Correct.
Okay.
And so my father takes care of my financial orders, and he was going to wire me the money that morning.
What do you mean by your dad takes care of your financial?
My father's an accountant and my financial advisor.
Okay.
And tries to control my spending because
He controls your spending?
Yeah, I kind of.
Oh, all right. You seem like you're old enough to control your own spending, but that's not my business.
No, he just takes care of so I don't buy things that I shouldn't, so I can save.
You're 43 years old, you're a grown man.
I just am very spontaneous. And so, he just wants to make sure that I keep things, in order and protect my retirement. And he basically, so it's a system that works well.
It works for the two of you. All right.
All right. Yeah.
So you don't have the money when you first move in, but he puts the money into your account a few days later.
Correct.
How much did you pay for security deposit?
$2,500.
The money was short by $707, and he acknowledged that it was confirmed in the email that he understood that he was short, and that his security deposit would now be $1,793 because he was short. And
May I say something?
May I see that email, please? Mr. Rudd, I want to talk about, because here's what happened. I do have this lease, so you're under a lease.
Right.
It's presumed if you move out before the end of the lease that you've breached the lease, but you say you had valid reasons to move out early. I want you to tell me about those reasons.
Okay. There were, on Monday, the contractors came. She said that there was construction being done and that previous tenants had moved out because they had a baby, but it was minimal. And it was bearable, and I took her word for it.
You said there was construction, and you were living there at the time too, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, stand up and come over to the lectern. What was the issue with construction?
It was, she said that the construction was very minimal. It was not as noisy.
And what, was it really noisy? What was the
really,
issue?
really noisy. I could not hear the TV.
Drilling was going on nonstop.
Okay, during what hours? During all day, during business hours, sort
Between
of 9
and 5.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So,
what were the other problems? So there's construction. What else do you say happened?
Number 2, the washer wasn't working for at least 10 days.
Was the washer replaced?
It was replaced within 2 weeks or so.
Okay, so, and you never put in writing to her that the washer machine wasn't working, et cetera, right?
No, but
okay.
they replaced.
What's the next issue? Parking.
The major one was heat. There was no heat.
There was no heat in the entire home?
No. When I met
Is
with
that
her,
true?
Not only was there heat, but there were 2 heaters.
So you're saying the heat worked, you're saying it did. Did you ever put in writing to her that the heat wasn't working?
Didn't put in writing outside of the text, and
you don't have the text messages?
I don't. I mean, I hope I wish she would have them.
Was the heat finally fixed?
Within 2 weeks or so.
Okay, and you say there was an incident. Hold on one second. You say there was an incident where the plaintiff showed up unannounced?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
This was before, when they were trying to fix the heat, the owner actually came of the house, who apologized for the heat not working. Then Miss Kelly was supposed to meet Derek. She came to the property while I was taking a shower. I didn't expect her to be there, so I just jumped out of the shower and I thought it was Derek. I glanced out and she was there. So
she was inside of the house?
She was inside the house.
Okay.
Coming up on Judge Faith, is the landlord too picky or was the tenant a slob?
What is this a photo of?
It just shows the condition. It shows how dirty it was. That's just ketchup splattered.
Okay, and it take 10 minutes to clean that. Next picture.
And later, a motorcycle repair skids out of control.
And you came in complaining about how much money it was going to cost.
Did you have a specific discussion to fix the starter?
Not the starter problem, it's something else problem.
Landlord Pamela Kelly claims her tenant didn't pay the rent and left her rental unit a mess. Defendant Derek Rudd says the house didn't have heat and the plaintiff didn't fix things.
You walked out of the shower.
And I thought Derek was home, but it was Miss Kelly. So I think because she heard me stomping, she walked away.
And you have a different story about what happened?
I do.
What happened that day?
The contractor told me that he wasn't there because the car wasn't in the driveway. And then I walked up the stairs and I noticed somebody walking in the house. I'm like, who is this? Because all I knew that Derek was staying at the house. And the front door was open. And by that time, Derek had come and he had already come in the driveway. So he was pulling in.
So you never walked into the house after you saw, okay. So here's your issue. I reviewed this lease, and the lease requires you, because these kinds of disputes often come up with someone breaches the lease, then they turn around and say, well, oh, I had all these issues, all these problems, they weren't addressed, they weren't taken care of. Right. That's why it's standard in a lease like this, and that provision is in this lease, that if you have any issues about maintenance, about repairs, that you put them in writing. That way you can come into court and say, yes, I did have these issues, and I put them in writing during the time I was living there, and I gave her an opportunity to correct these problems. Let's see what the pictures are. Do we have those on the plasma screen? Let's pull them up. What's the issue with this particular photo?
The buildup debris throughout the home, the fuzz balls, and because he said
I don't see anything in this photo. I see a wood floor.
It's along the baseboard. You can see. Well, it's probably not the best picture, but.
Well, I mean, you have to bring in a picture that shows damages, and I don't see anything there. Okay, so let's go to the next photo. What is this a photo of?
It just shows the condition. It shows how dirty it was. If you keep scrolling, it gets worse.
Okay, let's see.
That's just ketchup splattered.
Okay, and it takes 10 minutes to clean that. Next picture. Are those the only pictures you have to show damages?
There's several pictures.
I do see that there was some dirt and some wear and tear on the apartment, but most of these are not outside of the spectrum of normal wear and tear. What's your counterclaim for?
My counterclaim is there is no heat in the bedroom. The bedroom thermostat controlled the living room heat out of one vent, and that the vent from the living room would push air into the bedroom.
We've been through that. Your counterclaim is dismissed. 0 on your counterclaim. I do find that the defendant breached the lease and he did not have the legal right to do so. You didn't put anything about any issues that you were having in the house in writing, and if you did, you don't have proof of that in court. My judgment is for the plaintiff, verdict for the plaintiff, $5,000. Have a good day, folks.
Plaintiff Surin Dorje is suing for $2,425 for motorcycle repairs that left his bike broken. Defendant Brian Ledbetter says he completed the repairs and owes nothing.
Surin Dorje?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant Brian Ledbetter for $2,425. You want to be reimbursed for the cost of repairs you paid to the defendant to repair your motorcycle?
Yes.
Tell me what happened here. What kind of motorcycle do you have?
It's a chopper, actually.
Okay, what year?
1999.
It's actually
All right.
94.
It's a 1994?
It's
okay.
not what he says, but it has a DMV record saying that it has a 1999.
Let's just start with this. What's the difference between a chopper and a motorcycle? Who wants to answer that?
It's a custom bike.
Yes.
It's a custom bike?
100% custom.
Oh, okay. So a chopper is, what do they do? Put different parts together to make a bike?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
All right.
yes.
So where did you get the bike from?
It's my coworker. He left, or he actually stored in my garage for 5 years.
In your garage?
Yes, yes.
Where do you live?
I'm from Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Okay, so it was in your garage for 4 or 5 years and no one was driving it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
And
what kind of impact would that have on a motorcycle that hasn't been driven in 4 or 5 years in Minnesota?
It starts, but the only problem is that has a flat tire, that's it.
Okay.
But I need to, before I drive, I need to have some professional checkup, do some, what we call it, like tuning up and stuff like that.
And is that how you came to hire the defendant to start doing work for you?
Actually, yes, I found it through the internet. I tried looking for something like reliable.
So is that what you do for a living? Do you just work on motorcycles or
Yeah,
all
motorcycles,
cars?
four-wheelers, jet skis, snowmobiles.
Okay, and do you have a shop
Yep.
specifically in Minnesota for that?
Yep.
Why, do a lot of people ride motorcycles in Minnesota? It gets so cold there. Is
Yeah.
it something that people, you like year-round?
Wow.
People do that year-round? Okay.
Well, not year-round, but
We do
probably
have a
6
short
months.
period.
Okay, but that's your specialty. How long have you been doing that kind of work?
Been doing it since 2004. I've owned the shop since 2010.
Okay, all right. So you hire him, and what do you talk to him about?
Do the whole tune-up, like what we call it, like spark plug check, carburetor.
Check it out.
Check it out.
And get it in running order?
Yes.
Is that what he hired you to do?
Yeah, he wanted me to go through, change all the fluids, check out the front tire that was flat, and then he wanted me to polish all the chrome on it and make it look pretty.
So did you give him an estimate as to how much all of that work would be?
Yes.
What was that estimate?
Estimate was the $1,076.28,
That
which
was
is
the original
actually
bill, not the estimate.
the estimate was $1,300, and he came in complaining about how much money it was going to cost, and told me he was only going to pay X amount of dollars.
That's not right.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the bike's a beauty, but it's broken.
And so you take it out, you're trying to drive it, and you say 1 or 2 miles, and
Not before the mile or 2 miles, like around his shop.
not even a mile.
Not even a mile.
I'm done with you. I'm done working on your motorcycle. You can take it somewhere
No,
else.
that's wrong, Your Honor.
Plaintiff Surin Dorje says he hired the defendant to fix his motorcycle, but it still doesn't run. He's suing for the cost of repairs. Defendant Brian Ledbetter says the work is complete and he owes nothing.
Let me see pictures of the bike. Let me see this. Nice, it looks nice. Did you shine the chrome up like that? All right.
That's actually before the. That's before.
You're just not giving him credit for anything, are you?
Yeah, that's not after the. It's a before.
Okay, so the first time you take the bike, you
Yes.
pay him, you say a certain amount of money.
Yes.
And you go to pick up how long was the bike in his shop?
I was there
Okay.
for like 6 weeks due to the fact that we had to order parts for it, and it's a custom chopper, so it took a while to get the parts.
Okay, so you go and pick it up.
Yes.
And what are the issues? Because I understand from your complaint you had to take it back to him a second time.
Yes.
So you go pick the bike up, you pay the invoice, what happens?
So what happened is that he told me that, your bike is running condition, no problem. So I try for like maybe a block or around his shop.
Not even a mile?
Not even a mile. Around
Didn't
his
even
shop.
make it a mile?
Not even a mile. Around his shop, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so he comes to pick up the bike from you. He's going to do what on the bike?
Fix the bike.
The second time? Just
Yes.
fix it?
The starter
Fix the
one.
bike. Fix the bike, whatever the issues were.
Did you have a
through.
specific discussion to fix the starter?
Not the starter problem. It's something else problem.
So what you put the starter in,
So what happened is the starter needed to get replaced. Fired up, ran great, did a couple more times. On the back side of the clutch, there's a gear that catches from the starter. It snapped the gear clean off because of the brand new starter.
Okay, why?
Brand new starter, weak, it's been sitting for 5 years. It's one of those deals where you can't tell if it's gonna break or not.
Right.
And he came into my shop and said, I'm paying you $800 and I want my bike back
I did
tomorrow.
not came to
Hold
his
on
shop.
a second.
So after going back and forth with him and just had enough, that's where the receipt for the $800 came in.
Okay.
He paid $800 because he refused to pay anymore. I said, I'm done with you. I'm done working on your motorcycle. You can take it somewhere else.
That's wrong, Your Honor.
How are you going to prove to me that it is his fault that your bike is not running? He's saying he did this work and this is the work that he paid for. There's no warranty on these invoices that you would leave and that your bike would be running for a certain amount of time. He didn't guarantee how long your bike will be running, how long you will be able to drive it. In fact, I actually believe him when he said another part on it broke. It had been sitting up for 5 years in Minnesota. It had been sitting in a garage for 5 years. So what evidence do you have to present to me today that it is his fault that your bike isn't running after doing this work?
And now, Judge Faith rules.
The problem over here is not the starter, Your Honor. It's about the part which is broken when the bike is in his hand or when the bike is in his shop.
Let me just stop you there. You have a motorcycle that is either 1994, 1999, 15, 20 years old.
Yes.
And it is a chopper, as you describe it, which means there are various parts that have been taken to put this motorcycle together. It hasn't been driven for 4 to 5 years in Minnesota. And I'm telling you, based on what I see here, you paid him for the work that he did. So in order for you to get this bike running, I don't know how much it's going to cost you. It may cost you another $2,000 or $3,000. But you want me to order him to refund you for the work that he did, and I'm not going to do that, sir. It's your burden of proof, and you haven't proven to me that he needs to refund you any money. Judgment in this case is for the defendant. We're done.